All right. So around this time of year, I think you guys are going through something called matriculation, right? It's just the beginning of the second semester, and the counselors want your early idea on what classes you want to take for the next year. Um, One of the things that might be really confusing is math classes because you hear all these words going around. Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Math 3, honors, algebra, accelerated algebra and pre-calculus, honors pre-calculus, AP calculus, AP statistics. What's the difference between calculus and AP calculus? I don't know. Well, I do know actually. I'm going to try to give you guys that knowledge right now. And disclaimer, you should always check with your school's prerequisites before you sign up for a class because, or at least check the syllabuses of the courses that are, one up higher if you decide that you want to um, disobey the prerequisites. If you decide that you want to um, go to the next math course without the corresponding math class, make sure you know the content that you are expected to know before you take that math class. Always check with the school because the school knows their courses better than I know their courses. I mean, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry, Math 1, Math 2, Math 3, and Pre-Calculus, and AP Calculus, those courses are pretty standardized, but of course, there's also honors, which I don't know what topics they're gonna put in honors. That's a little bit uh, yeah, that's going to be a little bit. There's a little bit of gray area. All right. So what high school math course should I pick next? I'm gonna write eighth here for eighth grade. I'm gonna write ninth for ninth grade. I'm gonna write 10th. Actually, no, I'm just gonna write eighth here, because we're feeding into eighth grade courses. So by eighth grade, you should probably have finished math 8, or sometimes it might be called pre. Actually, it's not even on the screen. By eighth grade, you should have finished Math 8 or pre-algebra. That's the same thing. And I know in some states they haven't really adopted the Common Core standards yet, so you would be doing Algebra 1. Or if you're advanced, you would also be doing Algebra 1. So Math 8, which is pre-algebra, or Algebra 1. Um, Or if you're really, really advanced, you would also, well, not, yeah, if you're really, really advanced, you could also be doing geometry in eighth grade. Of course, if you're doing a course that's maybe even more advanced in geometry, or a hybrid course like Algebra 1 and Geometry Accelerated, then you will follow the path next to that, right? So this is pre-algebra, which is Math 8 that prepares you for Algebra 1. So in high school, you will go to Algebra 1. Algebra 1, which I'm just going to write Alg 1, right? This is the path right here. And if you're in eighth grade and you're doing Algebra 1, go to Geometry. Algebra 1 sometimes also is called Math 1. Math 1 is not Algebra 1. They're not the same course, but they are meant to be taught in the same year. So for ninth graders who are advanced, they will do Math 1. For ninth graders who are regular, they will do Math 1, and Math 2 for the ninth graders who are advanced. Um, Now, the next course available is usually algebra 2, algebra 2. So this is math 3, mathematics 3. Now, I know in some schools they allow you to move from math 2 to pre-calculus. In fact, I know that because it's my school. My school allows you to move from Math 2 to pre-calculus. So I'm just going to make a dashed line right here. It is not recommended for you to do this. Do not do this if you don't have the prerequisites. Um, yeah, so if you don't have the prerequisites, then don't do this. Don't go from geometry to pre-calculus. That's very bad. Don't do that. But Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. Some schools I know also do Algebra 1, then Algebra 2, then Geometry. But if it's Math 1, Math 2, and Math 3, I think they're going to follow Math 1, Math 2, and Math 3. It's just the first year, second year, and third year of math in high school. And then pre-calculus is your next class usually. Although I've also seen people who have gone from Algebra 2, and I'm a little bit more confident in recommending this to people if they're good at math. I'm a little less confident recommending going from geometry to pre-calculus because Algebra 2 has the kind of betting for introductory advanced algebra or introductory teachings in all the functions that you're going to need to know for calculus. So because you have more basic understanding, pre-calculus they just throw you in. You start learning logs, you start learning trigonometry. There's not much time to solidify the basics because they expect you to already know the basics from Algebra 2 or from Algebra 1. So you're just going to go straight in. You're going to learn a bunch of different topics. You're going to learn topics that don't even prepare you for calculus. And that's why I don't recommend you going from geometry to pre-calculus. Algebra 2 to Algebra 2 to calculus is a good idea if you're strong at the functions in Algebra 2. So calculus AB, which I'm gonna say this is AP calculus AB, or actually I'm just gonna put yeah. So AP calculus AB, AP Calculus AB, and I'm gonna put H for honors. So yeah, pre-calculus honors, Math 3. There can be Math 3 honors as well. And if you do Math 3 honors and you get an A or a B, you should do AP Calculus AB or maybe even BC. So AP Calculus AB, AP Calculus BC. Um, that's if you can handle the heat, right? So if you go from geometry in 8th grade to algebra to math 3 in ninth grade, or algebra 2 in ninth grade honors, and uh, and you feel confident enough in your math, you can go to IAP Calculus BC as a sophomore. You would be very, very young in that class, definitely, but you can do that if you feel confident enough in your math. As I say, you have to check with the prerequisites for your teacher. If you don't check with the prerequisites, or if you don't check at least the syllabus of the content that you're expected to know, then you will not perform well in that class, or you will perform well in that class and you will fail the AP test. What is AP Calculus AB? Sometimes you will also see this as Calc 1. Sometimes you also see this as Calc 2, right? AP Calculus AB can also be said as Intro to Calculus. AP Calculus AB is also basically Intro to Calculus, but I'm going to say that Intro to Calculus is actually a little bit easier than AP Calculus AB. So Intro to Calculus. This is a little bit easier than AP Calculus AB, and what's the reason why it's a little bit easier? It's because they usually don't make you explain like you have to in the AP Calculus exams. So Intro to Calculus is a little bit easier usually. However, and Calculus 1 and Intro to Calculus basically the same thing, except Calculus 1 and Calculus 2. You usually see those names in dual enrollment community college courses, and dual enrollment community college courses do them in one semester, whereas Intro to Calc is usually a year-long course that only covers content from Calc 1. So it's a good footing into calculus. If you don't feel as confident in your math ability, or maybe if you get an A or B in Algebra 2 not honors, then you can do Intro to Calc or Calc 1 instead. So after you take AP Calculus AB, what do you do? After you take AP Calculus AB, um, you can do AP Calculus BC. Right? After you take Intro to Calc, you can do AP Calculus BC or Calc 2. Right? That's a good next step. Good next step. After you take pre-calculus, if you take pre-calculus and you get an A or a B in pre-calculus, I recommend you do, if you're not that confident, you can do AP Calculus AB. If it's your last year and you're not that confident, you can do AP Calculus AB. If it's not your last year, chances are you're probably better at math than you think you are. So if you're an 11th grader, if you're a 10th grader doing pre-calculus, A or B, and you want to choose a 11th grade class, you should do AP Calculus BC. Why? Because, well, in pre-calculus, what they usually do is it's usually a little bit of topics that's outside of Algebra 2, plus a bunch of topics that are in Algebra 2 already. So you're getting a repeat of Algebra 2 already. So you have 2 times exposure to Algebra 2 topics. So going to AP Calculus BC, even though it might be a little bit fast, it's not that much faster than AP Calculus AB. And you also get 2 semesters of college credit over just one. So if you have an A or B in pre-calculus, go to AP Calculus BC. If you get A, B, or C in pre-calculus honors, go to AP Calculus BC as well. All right, so those are good paths to AP Calculus BC. Okay, now let's move on to statistics. So after you pass Algebra 2, you can go to statistics. A, B, or C, doesn't matter. Statistics. Statistics. Or you can do financial math. I'm just going to put a bunch of arrows because these are called mathematical electives. In fact, everything that's not this, I'm just going to put a red line if you don't mind. Anything that's not this is elective. So this is required. Required. And then everything that's not this is called an elective. So after you do Math 1, Math 2, and Math 3, you don't have to do any more math. Unless if your high school requires 3 years of math to graduate. That's the important thing. You always have to check with your school. You always have to check with your school, or else you might not be able to graduate. So, you have to take 3 years of math usually in high school in order to graduate. So you have to take the required math and you have to take the elective math. And if you decide to skip courses, make sure you take the courses you skip. Because otherwise you're not going to get the required years of math that you will need. Of course, you can do summer school and then you can skip courses like that. And in that case, that would also count as a year of math, even though you only really spent 8 weeks. So statistics, financial math, and there's statistics and there's also AP. So AP statistics. If you get an A or a B in Math 3 or an ABC in Math 3 honors, Math 3 advanced, whatever it's called, Algebra 2 advanced, Algebra 2 honors, whatever it's called, AP stats. You can do AP stats. If it's good for your major, then sure, take it. Stats have a very bad reputation, it's kind of like an English class for math is what I've heard. I haven't really done stats a lot, so I can't completely comment on it. So, but I've heard that's what it is. So AP stats, financial math, discrete math, discrete mathematics. Discrete math is learning about computer systems like graphs, nodes, learning about sets, learning about proof and logic, or well, not much proving, but logic and stuff like that. So if you that's feels like that's your thing, then you can do discrete math as well. So stats, financial math, discrete math. I don't know if I'm missing anything. Sometimes Yeah, I don't know if I'm missing anything or not. Yeah, so this is basically the outline of math courses that you will probably take. There's also sometimes a another mathematical elective called AP or regular computer science, and it can be principles or A. So AP Computer Science Principles or AP Computer Science A or Intro to Computer Science, whatever, right? And that usually requires a prerequisite either geometry or algebra 2. I've heard it's more algebra 2 than geometry, so make sure you do that to finish AP to be able to take AP Computer Science. Now I know that there are schools that are a little bit more funded than others, a little bit more advanced than others, with students that want to take courses above Calculus BC. So I'll talk about those as well. So AP Calculus BC, right after AP Calculus BC, what can you take? Most schools offer multivariable calculus, also known as Calculus 3. So multivariable calculus. And multivariable calculus is Calculus 3. There you go. And some schools also offer linear algebra. Linear algebra is linear algebra. And this requires linear algebra is not, there's no other name for it. Multivariable calculus and linear algebra. Sometimes people take multivariable calculus. These are both one semester courses, by the way. Sometimes people take multivariable calculus, then they go to linear algebra. Sometimes they go from take linear algebra, then go to multivariable calculus. Totally, they're both valid paths for you to take. Some people also take differential equations. These are courses that are usually taken in your second year of college. But if you skip 2 years of math, then you can take these courses. You really can. And these are all interchangeable right here. Um, like that and that, right? These are all interchangeable courses. You can take any of them. You can take multivariable calculus, then linear algebra. You can take multivariable calculus, then differential equations, then linear algebra. You can take any of those classes in any order you want because they all have a prerequisite of calculus 2 in my experience. If you take a class if you take a class that requires either multivariable calculus or linear algebra for prerequisite for differential equations, or differential equations for prerequisite for multivariable calculus, then you have to ask your teachers about that, right? And obviously there's more courses after that as well, or um, there's more courses you can take as well. You can take proofwriting as well. So I'm gonna write that right down here. So proofwriting. Although I don't know if proofwriting is a common course, proofwriting, and you can also take discrete math. Actually, there you go. You can take discrete math, college level discrete math, not high school. Um, After AP Calculus BC, you're ready for it. There's a lot of courses you can take after Calculus BC. You can take stats. I'm going to draw an arrow. You can take stats. In fact, most schools, they stop after Calculus BC. So in the 12th grade, what you do is go to stats. So that is really the web that I have right here. It's not very organized, but I hope you have a general idea of what you want to take for your next class. And I will see you guys next time.